All right, welcome everybody to the space, this beautiful workshop, Authority Artifact with Justin Yip. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a nice little container for us as we step in because it's an intimate space, it's an intimate group. During this workshop, Justin is going to really be hot seat coaching some of us, as many as we can, to help extract and pull out what he calls your authority artifact, which is really your unique story that makes you a niche of one. So it's might bring some things to the surface, but it's beautiful. We have some powerful practitioners holding the space. So what we're going to do is we're all just going to take a long, slow, deep breath in and relaxing down and out. One more deep belly breath in just to complete the container. Deep breath in and relaxing down and out. And just calling in safety, right? Just calling in some love and also calling in fun and play and creativity. Because how many here, just by show of hands, are entrepreneurs? Anyone? Everyone. Okay. All right, cool. So, all right, we got to, okay, everyone's an entrepreneur. How many here, as entrepreneurs, are desiring to get their message out to more people? Yeah, not that. Right? Yeah, so everyone everyone here is looking to get their message out. Well, as a hypnotherapist and someone who's studied, human beings for a while now, not forever, but for a while, being able to share a story is the oldest form of teaching. It's the oldest form of transmission. Being able to sit around a campfire and saying, "Hey, this is what happened today," or "This is what happened 1,000 years ago," and then you can extract and pull out the pearls of wisdom so that the people that came before you, even if they're right with you right now in this moment, you don't have to hit your face on the wall in the same way. You don't have to dash your foot on the rock in the same way. You don't have to put yourself in a position of harm because the wisdom has spoken into the space. So when we can tell our stories in a way that connects with people, like really, really deeply, and says, "Hey, I was where you were, and then I found out an answer, and I had to shape it and mold it. Sometimes I had to create a whole new thing because it was a problem I couldn't find an answer to, and now I'm giving it as medicine." When you can walk people through that process just by sharing your unique story, people will be like, "Whoa, me too." Right? I think me and Alan just had a conversation earlier. Did you feel a "whoa, me too" energy earlier? Yeah. And one of the reasons why we can do that is because Justin has helped me shift and refine and understand where I'm going with my authority artifact. So I'm going to kick it over to Mr. Yip to share with you guys a little bit of the philosophy behind what this is. So you guys have a nice little container and context to understand it. And then share a little bit about your story, what brought you into this marketing space, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah, appreciate the introduction and the space, James. So, I talk about a lot reputation. I talk about reputation, and that's what comes to mind. And one thing I'll say is, sometimes I overplan for jumping on the live or doing a workshop. But one thing I love about doing these things with James is that I know that if I plan less, it's actually more fun and more flowy, and I'll be just as good as if I ever planned. So even now, I'm thinking, what am I going to say? What am I going to present? What am I going to talk about? And I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to let it flow. So that said, reputation. I say this a lot, and I believe that as a brand or an expert, there are certain concepts or key points that you emphasize over and over again because you know how meaningful and beneficial it is to your audience, or to your friends, or to your colleagues, or to your clients. And this is about reputation. So, what is reputation? Because if you're a brand, if you're an entrepreneur, your reputation is important. So, what is reputation? Reputation is what people say about you. So you don't control your reputation, but you can influence your reputation. And you want to influence your reputation. And I bring that up because when James introduced me, that's my reputation. So when James says, "Oh, Justin, he's into marketing. He's really good at what he does," that's my reputation. And that has something to do with visibility. You don't just want to be visible. You want people to know your brand intentionally related to the outcomes of your business, your services, how you help people. The word that comes to mind is congruency. So when a lot of people talk about marketing or there's a marketing expert, they think a lot about the tactics or the strategy or the mechanics or the words. But what really fascinates me is the energetics, like the deeper nuances, the person. So that said, I really like to play in the sandbox of marketing. And one thing I encourage individuals to do is to find the sandbox that their genius plays in. It may not be the dominant sandbox of other individuals out there, but because it's your sandbox and your genius loves to play in this sandbox, you can easily teach others from this sandbox. And they'll learn to play in that sandbox more. So my sandbox is probably marketing. I just find it really fun. So we all have it. We all have our offers. We all have the outcomes of our offers. And how do we stand out in a crowded market? How do we stand out in a crowded space? So another phrase that I like is that facts tell and stories sell. And even if you're not selling an actual paid offer, you're often selling an action that you would like individuals in your audience to take. And as James said, stories really just capture people. Stories are timeless. It's how we've learned since the beginning of time in our tribal community days. So how do we combine these two dynamics? Your story, your offer, your brand, your methodology, so that essentially there's no competition. And I have to remind myself of this often as well, which also is another one of my favorite sayings that your ideal client may just be a previous version of yourself. Right? So I've been there, right? You're reluctant to charge your worth, to charge your value. But if you're the only one with your story, and if your story has shaped your views, your values, and your perspective, which essentially shapes how you deliver your offer, then there is no competition because people can only get your offer from you, right? So the more we anchor these things in, it's not just marketing, right? It's empowerment, it's embodiment of your story and who you are and how awesome you are and your worth and your value so you can go out there and serve others. That said, remember we were having that conversation with Miguel James about his issue, his story, and you were talking about this, and I said, "Hey, I have something called authority artifacts." So what's wonderful about this is that I call it authority artifacts, but I believe most people already know what it is. I'm just bringing it home. So James, you want to talk about how that conversation unfolded and why we decided to do this?
Oh man, that's so fun. And
Yeah.
before I dive into that, I just want to say one of the things that Justin Yip has really helped me with is owning my fun. And also Rashid. Rashid helped me own my weird, right? But one of the things that Justin helped me really bring down into the space is that unique essence, that unique frequency that is me and not other people. And fun and leading with that, leading with the thing that you are that other people aren't. No one's going to copy me. No one can do that. I have a sword. And if you see me on any call, I'm always this is what I'm doing. Look, this is what I'm doing. no one no one else is doing that, you guys, and everyone else is smiled, you see? So going back to what Justin said, which is the whole reason why we're doing this workshop is because we had a little get together, little connection. I think it was in Justin's community. I showed up, popped in, coffee chat. Another guy was on, and he was afraid to share his real thing, like the thing that you want to put out into the world. Everyone has, and they're like, I'm like, it's my baby. I want to protect it. It's my special secret. sauce or juice, and I want to make sure everyone likes it. I want to make sure everyone loves it. I want to make sure that it's acceptable. I want it. And what happens is when we're trying to protect the thing that is the most valuable, the pearl inside of the clam, no one can see it, right? So what happened was I saw it, Justin saw it. We're like, hey man, that the thing you don't want people to know. Go
What was
ahead.
the question you asked him? What was the deep question you asked him that made him just like,
Oh, thank you,
remember?
Justin, for
Yeah.
nudging me in the right direction. What's your deepest pain? Write it down. It's a writer downer. What's your deepest pain, you guys? And I remember I did this because my wife asked me, and I believe it's because she heard it from someone else. Maybe David Data. I can't remember. Zat, you can help me remind me if I'm off. But um, your deepest pain holds the seed to your deepest medicine and gift to give to the world. So if you can just hone in on what's the thing that hurts you the most, that was the biggest hole that was left in childhood or the biggest hole in your heart, whatever that is, if you become the thing that fills that, everyone else who has the same hole, and Justin uses the U size hole in the universe. Okay, what is that? The U size hole,
Yeah,
right?
there's a U-shaped hole in the world that only you can fill. Yeah.
That. So learn about what the pain is, and then through the process of what you've done, which is probably your methodology, um, offer that to the world. But no one cares what you have until they know what you've done and gone through to get to that point. That's when people are like, oh, me too. And there's an answer and solution. When you get to that point, now you have an offer that people ask you about instead of you needing to try and pitch and DM 100 people. They hear your story and they're like, huh, let me check out that Justin guy. Let me check out that Pamela spiritual librarian lady or Alan or Zop, right? So yeah, I asked the guy his biggest pain. He told us, and me and Justin both were like, that's your
That's
message.
the thing. Yeah.
That's the thing. He's like, no, 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 no. I don't want people to know that.
Yeah.
No, that's what people need to know, and you'll be rich. So Justin, I don't know where to go
Yeah,
from there,
yeah.
man.
That's what makes you the niche of one.
Yeah,
That's what makes it so you have no competition. That's what makes it where your offer is the only offer of its kind because your story is embodied in your offer because you embrace that vulnerability and that vulnerability becomes a strength. So I was using authority artifacts before I knew what authority artifacts were, and I'm sure you may be as well, which is why I want to teach more of this methodology. And I'll say if you want more of like the practical framework for this, this is also a replay in my classroom in the Skillshare section. But this is more of a free-flowing conversation, but that other one had slides and there were people there and there were examples. This is more of like a free-flowing conversation related to this concept that is very fun and very profound. So my first foray into entrepreneurship was in insurance. And people need insurance, right? Like I believe it's a wonderful product, but it's not the most fun thing to talk about. And one thing a lot of individuals do, especially on discovery calls or sales calls, connection calls, they just begin to qualify. They just ask you questions, right? They dig into who you are, and it's taught. I used to do it as well. It's not really taught to open with your story, but when I began to sell insurance, I opened with my story. So I'll share with you the opener that I've probably used like more than 20, 30 times. I'd say, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the connection. I'd like to tell you a little bit about why I got into financial services. So I'm a school teacher, and one thing I realized that they don't teach in the school system is anything about finances, something that affects everyone. I actually didn't become interested in finances, in money, until I became a dad. And when I became a dad, I kept on hearing this thing. One of the most responsible things you can do as a parent is to plan for your own retirement, to make sure that your family is financially set up no matter what. And I began to think, what if something happened to me? What would my family be like? What would happen to them? So I'm here now to teach others about simple financial concepts because there's a lack of information. It wasn't until I became a dad that I became passionate about these and learned how important it is. And that's why I want to talk with you today about some of the things that I've learned that I wish I knew a lot sooner. Like, no one asked me for my story, but I know that my story validates what I do. And people are like, wow, now I'm ready to talk because I know he cares. I know there's a story there. So, an authority artifact is something that happened in your life, often from a time of despair or uncertainty or frustration that essentially changed who you are. And what does it mean to change who you are? It changes your views, your values, your perspective, your philosophy. So if you can be aware of that, and a lot of people, I encourage them to write this down or to talk about it, to get it on paper, so you can really craft that story, so you can really craft your authority artifact. And you can have many authority artifacts. You can have unlimited authority artifacts. And what is an artifact? It's timeless, it's ancient, it stands out, it's recognizable, it's unique. In a moment, I'll share an example of an authority artifact in my business. So one of the key aspects of this is how did this event that then shaped your views, your perspectives, your values, your philosophy, then affect your methodology? And how does that methodology affect your offer? And you can even name your methodology something related to that transformation. So the formula, more or less, in three phases is something happened, something that left you wide open. You were vulnerable, the valley of despair, something that you may even be reluctant to share with others, but it's so authentic. It shifted a belief. Your perspective changed, and that became your approach for how will you serve yourself, which is also how you serve your audience, your clients, and your customers. So I'll give another conversational example based on what I do now, another authority artifact related to one of my programs. So another story, because again, we're talking about stories here. So I'll say, yeah, so let me tell you about how I got started in marketing and sales and online business and some of the struggles I had and eventually some of the wins I had from really understanding myself more. So when I first got into online business, I got into insurance and affiliate marketing. And I had really successful mentors, mentors who were making a lot of money, who were teaching me the strategies and the tactics that they were able to follow to be quite successful. I tried to follow the same strategies and they just didn't work. They felt pushy, they felt aggressive, and I was so frustrated. I felt like maybe I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur. Maybe I'm not meant to make this work. I'm not making money. I'm not a school teacher anymore. My wife's asking me, are you going to go back to being a school teacher? It was just so defeating because I cared so much and I knew these products were good, but it just wasn't working. I was fortunate enough to meet a mentor, not a business mentor, more like a life mentor who's into personal development. Actually did a lot of work for the church and he was a theologist. He really took the time to get to know me. He took the time to not just know me, but to reflect to me aspects of myself that were right beneath the surface. He even had me do some personality assessments to uncover my patterns and my archetypes, which, if you've had conversations with me, I'm big into archetypes and patterns because I believe they have a lot of unveils to who you are and your superpowers that you may be too close to actually embrace. Like James, I know his superpower is fun. I remind him all the time because I want him to embrace that superpower. So what this mentor said to me is, based on my conversations with you and based on these archetypes and these assessments that you've done, he said, by the way, I knew this about you before you took any of these assessments. Like I just knew it already. I just wanted validation. I wanted more language to share with you who you are. He said, your mentors are so different than you. Like Justin, you're highly relational based on who you are. And I know who you are because you're very similar to me as well. So I recognize who you are before any of this because you're similar to me. You just like people. You just love people. You're highly relational. Forget about the strategy, forget about the tactics. People will buy from you because of you. It's not true for everyone. A lot of marketers and salesmen sell the offer. People will buy from you because of you. And it is so interesting. It's not mind-blowing, it's not profound, but it's so simple and it's so validating. I didn't need more strategy. I needed validation. I needed permission to embrace aspects of myself that no business coach, no strategist was telling me. So, from this simple takeaway, I became fascinated by exploring aspects of identity, archetypes, personality assessments, the Enneagram, gene keys, human design, yin and yang dynamics, feminine and masculine energetics, and applying it to myself to understand more about myself and to understand how proven frameworks for strategies in marketing and sales can be adapted to who I am so that I can be more successful with less resistance, attract and enroll clients your way because you know who you are, you know your preferences, you know your motivations. And that's why I call my program Identity to Implementation, because it's always you first. It's always your identity first. The strategy, the implementation comes after. So that's an example of an authority artifact, right? Like I went through it. There was the deep event. It sucked. I wasn't making money. Nothing's worse than your partner telling you to go do something you don't want to do. And then there's this perspective shift. And for me, I was fortunate enough to meet a guide who helped me with this perspective shift, but it can be something that you experience or encounter on your own. And for me, again, it was the importance of understanding yourself through patterns and archetypes, which then continued to benefit me in my life, which then continued to benefit audience, friends, family, and colleagues, which then contributes to my unique methodology in an authentic way because it's how I view the world. So to work with Justin for client acquisition, it's not just marketing and sales, it's identity. He knows how important it is for you to understand yourself so he can teach you the strategies that feel right to you. There's no competition. And even as I say this now, I know I can be embracing my authority artifact more than I am, which is why I teach this. I'll take a pause there, James. You wanna jam with me, brother?
I love this so much. I every time I sit with you, I'm like, hey, let's co-host something. I'm getting a master class. So, if you're getting any value, just drop a one in the chat really quick, first of all. And thank you, for sharing that story. And I have a very similar authority artifact. I'll share. I'll call it with that in a moment with heart-centered sales. But I just kind of want to get a gauge because this is an interactive, engaging space. I wanted to give about 30, 35 minutes to get to know Justin, see why it's important to understand this, what the value is, and then I really wanted to turn it into like hot seat opportunity so that you can see how quick, fast, easy, and effective this is. It doesn't take that long, and because Justin has studied all these different typing systems, literally I jumped on with him for the first time, 30-minute coffee chat, and on the same call, he was like, "Hey, man, I feel like you're a galvanizer. I was like, what the hell is a galvanizer? And then he started telling me, and we looked it up, some of these systems that he has. And Justin, can you share just a quick 30 seconds on like what a galvanizer is in just
Yeah, yeah,
one type
yeah.
system that he has?
Yeah, so because I'm fascinated about individuals, and I'll tell you, I mean, I have nothing against sharing some of my shadows and how I've transformed them into gifts because I believe we all have that potential. So I really have a knack for understanding people and kind of seeing the layers beneath their surface behaviors, which is preferences and motivations. Um, because I know now that subconsciously I was looking to understand people so that I could manipulate a connection in my shadow state. Like, what can I leverage so that I can manipulate a connection because I'm afraid of not being liked? I'm afraid of not being loved. I'm afraid of not having that connection. Yeah.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Drop a three in the chat. Just by the way, afraid of abandonment and rejection. So I'll just make everyone like me. Yeah, drop a three in the chat if anyone resonates
Yeah.
with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So we all have this potential, and I talk a lot I talk about it a lot. I mean, it's simple, like shadows into gifts,
Yes.
struggles into breakthroughs, right? You just got to understand what it is so you can shift the story essentially. So now I understand that my curiosity for others, which initially came from a place of subconscious fixation, my awareness of others, I can now share with them for their benefit rather than using that understanding to broker a connection out of fear. Right? So with you, I'm like, man, this James is just fun. I just know it. Like he has this energy, right? Your superpower is fun, enthusiasm. You know, the glass is half full. Why? Because you're probably afraid of not having fun, of being bored. You're afraid of the glass being half empty. Like it's super simple. But if you can change your relationship to that fixation, if you can be like, well, it's okay if I don't have fun. It's okay if the glass is half empty. It's okay if people don't like me, then people like you even more because it's authentic and you're not afraid of it, right? The fun is more fun because you're not afraid of not having fun. So that's some of it. And I just knew that from, well, people who have fun are often galvanizers. Right. So I just see the patterns of behavior, and if I notice it and I think it's beneficial, I'll share it with them. So a galvanizer is just someone who rallies people. It gets people excited. They have the gift of gab. They convey this enthusiasm, and they can bring people to an event, to a party, to a cause. So, I mean, I saw that in James and I reflected it back to him, and it was very validating for him because he knew that, but no one had used the word galvanizer, which is again some of what we're talking about. Sometimes you just need validation. You don't need more strategy. And from that validation, you can really embrace the aspects of yourself that make certain strategies more effective.
Beautiful. So here's
Yeah.
what we're gonna do. I'm gonna share my little authority artifact, and then we're gonna get as a segue into Q&A hot seat coaching. Okay, because Justin works with people very, very deeply, one-on-one. He has group programs, containers. He has his premium member. He has all these things. So you can work with him at any level that you're at. He also does, I think, coffee chat. So if you just want to chat with him for
Yeah.
30 minutes, he'll help. He's the kind of person that just helps. So I want to give you guys a taste of the magic so that if you're not in his group, you can go join. If you're not in a program and are interested, you could reach out. This isn't a pitch. We're not going to sell you something at the end, but this is a way that we can cross pollinate. So one of my authority artifacts is obviously as the gift of gab. What did I go into? I went into sales, right? And it was an accident. I met the love of my life, and I was broke living with my mom and didn't have a job. So I don't know if you've ever met the love of your life as a man and was living with your mom and broke and didn't have a job. It's not a very good feeling. Right? So what did I do? I went out on the pavement and just started handing out applications. And just serendipitously, synchronistically, I went into Subway, put in an application, and said, "Sorry, kid, we don't do that. It's all online, XYZ." But someone was standing there and he's like, "Hey, man, I work for Metro PCS across the street. You want to talk? I was like, yeah. So we set up an interview, and I became a cell phone salesman. And it was a kiosk in the middle of the mall. You know, it's little 6x6s that everyone looks depressed in. They're like, ugh, I don't want to be here. That was me. But it was 10 times worse because not only was I locked in a little 6x6 cage in the middle of a mall that no one wanted to talk to me, but also I was in the food court. So directly in front of me is the flaming wok Chinese food and Taco Bell and
Mm.
Subway, and I'm just like, so all day long I'm just smelling all this food and trying my best not to spend my entire paycheck on food. But anyway, I came in during tax season. He really needed people. He needed more people because it's a very busy time because everyone has all this money in their pocket. And what's the first thing they want to do? Blow it on something they don't need. Okay, cool. So cell phones. So he was the owner of about 4 or 5 stores. So he trained me specifically. And in about 2 or 3 weeks during sales and tax season, um, I became the top commission earner in the entire place. I sold more accessories than anyone else. And it's because I followed his lead. I just said, okay, boss, I'm new. Show me the ropes. I like mentorship. Tell me what to do. I'll do it. And I'm good at it. But the problem is the way that he would sell and taught me how to sell is here's this phone. It costs $60. There's a rebate, meaning the phone's actually free. Just pay for the first month's service, which is $60. So the phone's free. Everything costs $60. Here, have fun. But what he would say is the phone costs $250 or $300. And then here's all this free stuff that you get as a promotion. Here you get a wireless Bluetooth speaker, you get a glass screen protect, you get all this stuff for free. Meanwhile, he's charging them about 3 or 4 times what the cell phone is actually worth and saying it's free, right? Now, I was brand new. I was like 23, 24, something like that. And I was good at it. And I was like, hey, this is how it's done. Let's do it. But after about 2 or 3 weeks, I starting to feel a little weird. I was like, wait a second, I'm lying to these people. This isn't cool. I'm lying to these people. And what happened was something shifted inside of me because he was no longer there. He taught me how to do it. And then I felt really disgusted and gross and turned off. So I never did that ever again. And I stopped being the top salesman. I became the worst salesman because I stopped lying to people. And people don't really need phones. So I was like, you don't really need a phone. Just do this, get a screen protector. You'll be fine. Right? Because I valued connection and relationship over money. Now, most people's experience with sales is that. Anyone ever have experience where you just felt like they were just trying to take
Yeah.
from you, just trying to get? Ugh, right? So I turned that experience into heart-centered sales. Now I teach empaths, healers, coaches who are really good at the love and the connection, the big heart. They get powerful transformations, but I teach them how to do sales in a way that feels relaxing, that feels connected, magnetic, and it builds a relationship. And if it's not the right fit, you tell them, and then they tell all their friends because you're an awesome person. Give them a hand out or a hand up, right? So let's all take a deep breath in and out. So when you have those rock bottom moments or decision points, and who feels like they know Justin and me a little bit better just from the stories? Anyone? Yeah. And we're not here to like try and pitch you something. We're here to help and support. And if you know someone who resonates with this and can benefit, send them our way. So with that being said, what I want to do is I want to turn it back over to you guys. Um, Show of hands, who would like, and this can change during the experience, but just as of right now, who would feel like they would like to receive maybe a 10-minute hot seat coaching with Justin just on the live call and are open to that being recorded? Okay. All right.
Cool.
Beautiful. Awesome. So Justin, you have your work or
Yeah.
anything you want to share? Go for it, brother.
Yeah,
We're gonna
yeah,
throw you in the
yeah.
fire.
Cool. I want to ask you, James. So, what happened after you developed heart-centered sales when you began to embody that and teach that? How did that change for you and the people that
Oh
you're
man.
looking to guide?
Yeah, that was just the first piece. I went all the way in even deeper as an entrepreneur before I was even a coach, and I had to do cold calls. So I learned all
Yeah.
this strategies and tactics, and not like you, none of it felt good. It works, but not for me. So the question is like, what changed after that? What was the question?
Yeah, like what was the practical benefit?
Oh, the practical benefit? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So because I felt really slimy and sleazy with sales, but I really wanted to help people, I was energetically pushing people away.
yeah.
And there was a moment where I shifted a belief of like money makes love go away. Money makes
Mm,
love go away. And I changed that belief because I'm a hypnotist and I just
yeah.
journaled and I changed my belief to people show me love and gratitude in the form of financial abundance. So
Yeah.
people show me love and gratitude in the form of financial abundance. And when I made that one shift, I showed up differently, not from a place of I'm trying to get money from you, please try let me
Mm,
position myself to try and get the money because I need money to I'm going to serve powerfully. I'm going to give you everything in the kitchen sink because I live in the give. And then people are going to show me gratitude in the form of uh, they're going to show me love in the form of gratitude and financial abundance. And then people started saying yes to my offers because the energy behind it wasn't a take trying to get stuff. It was, here's what I have. Do you like the taste? Would you like more? Very different energy. That's heart centered sales. You can use the same tools to get people to make a powerful decision. But if you're coming from, I have a buffet and I'm not worried. Here, you take it or just go. It's fine. Versus if you don't if you don't buy this thing, I'll never talk to you again. That's a very different energy. So that's what really changed for me going from
yeah.
I need money to I have the thing that you desire and it would be ethically wrong for me to not tell you that I can help. That's the big shift that made for me.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then you started making more money and you started making more
Oh,
sales.
I signed
Yeah.
on 3 clients the next day. As soon as I changed
Yeah.
that belief,
Yeah.
I signed on 3 clients and then tripled my prices because I was like,
There you
oh,
go. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
opened it up. Mm-hmm.
I elicited that from you because I forgot to share that part of my story as well. So
Yeah.
after I embraced my identity and I understood myself more, my saboteurs, but also my superpowers and my advantages in building business and doing marketing and sales, which is being relational for myself, I did make more money. I did enroll more clients for my insurance business, my affiliate marketing business, and now I still continue it on. So that part you do want to share as well. I forgot it, and then I sing it now, and I listed it from James. So that said, now we're ready to go. Heather, good to connect with you, and I made sure to tag you in the post because I know a lot of the events we do when it's 9 p.m. my time in Thailand, you're already sleeping. So I'm like, who should I tag? Well, people who I know like to hang out with me and James, but also those who just miss a lot of things because time zones are tricky. So that said, Heather, I'm gonna ask you a few questions. It's just an open conversation and really just kind of unpacking the three phases live so that you can have a space to reflect some of these things. The first one again is that event, that thing that began to shift your belief, what the belief shift is, and then how that contributes to your offer, your brand. So let's start with that first part. What is that thing that happened that kind of began to shift things for you?
I think it was losing the identity I had and getting into a situation in life that I'd never been in before. And I was really struggling with health and finances. And I just got to the end of my tether and thought, there's got to be more to this. There's got to be an answer to this. And yeah, I literally had enough of trying to always fight to keep my head up above water, having had a life where everything was fine and everything was easy, everything flowed. And so I just went from one extreme to the other.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that. What do you mean by the extremes? What is the extreme you went to and then to the other?
So I lost my career. I was a detective in the UK police, and I
Oh,
lost my career due to health. And I thought I'd take a 3 year career break, thinking, oh, I'll move down to New Zealand and be with family, and I'll rest and recover. But I didn't. My health actually got worse. And so I couldn't return to my career in the police, which is actually a blessing. I wouldn't want to be in that job now, but um, and it seemed like no matter what I tried, I could not get on top of my health. I was autoimmune with a couple of things. And I struggled. I struggled with life. I struggled to hold a job down, and struggled finding sort of people to understand. I needed people to understand. I now understand that I didn't need people to understand. I needed to understand. Um, and because I couldn't work, I was struggling. And then I fell pregnant. And then
Mm.
I was pregnant on my own. And I was 42 when I had my daughter. So everything just started to spiral, like health got worse because I was more stressed, trying to raise my daughter, not being able to, work as I used to be able to work, and yeah, just struggling with everything, absolutely everything.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very curious and interested to hear the shift. How did the struggle become a breakthrough? I also want to thank everyone in the room for just being amazing space holders. Like, I feel it, I sense it. I was talking about something vulnerable. James was talking about something vulnerable, but it's not just the vulnerability. We're looking for the empowerment that comes through opening up and being vulnerable. So just want to say that and bless that James and I, even though this is an open event, that we attracted such aligned individuals that can hold such wonderful space with us. I just wanted to speak to that. And now, Heather, from this, what was that event that was that climb out of that valley where things began to shift for you, your perspective, your values, your beliefs that not just had a inner change, but also that outer change where things began to really get better for you?
Well, I got connected to a couple of people in personal development that were connected to Bob Proctor. So I didn't have any money. I couldn't afford any anything. It's like, yeah, just go and do a course. You'll be fine. That's what you really need. And I'm like, oh God, I don't even have $2 to rub together. I can't afford anything. But I ended up speaking to one of his inner circle coaches, and the conversation was just such an eye opener for me. And she said, look, there is a 3-day event. You can do it online, and I'm sure you can find $200, to do it. And she, just encouraged me to be very open to receiving $200 to do it. And I said, oh, it's not that simple. She said, trust me, just do it. And yeah, I did it. I was getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning, and sitting, most of the day listening to Bob Proctor on his paradigm shift thing. And I was like, holy smoke. This was all the stuff I've been trying to find out, like what is life about? What makes things sort of tick, and why do we think like we do, or why we do what we do, or why we don't do what we do. And literally, it dawned on me that I was letting my outside world control me, where instead of letting my inner self come to the fore. So that was the start of the change. And it just went on from there.
Yeah, write something down. So, really great. I mean, I love the story you're sharing. I feel like I know you more, and that's the thing about vulnerability. People are very reluctant to share their vulnerabilities, but it actually makes you more relatable. And if our ideal client is a previous version of ourselves, the people in our audience, our potential clients, or even people who don't become clients, people who we just want to transform because they hear our story, they want to see themselves in our hero's journey. So they want to know that once upon a time we were defeated and we were lost, but we found our way out. And because of that, we are now the guide to other heroes who are on a similar journey. So the more we embrace this story, well, it's just really good marketing. Right. I like stories. I used to teach language arts. I used to study English. I mean, I studied English and I had a minor in creative writing. So, it all comes together, right? So, that said, what would be the shorter or the Cliff Notes version of your perspective shift that embodies what you want to teach others now from your experience?
Oh. I don't know. Put me on the
It's
spotlight. I'm not
I
like,
mean
oh,
it's why we do this, right? It's sometimes why it's difficult to figure these out on your own, and if you need more time, I
no,
encourage you to, yeah, go ahead.
I think it's really that the answers to anyone's problems are simple. The
Yeah.
wisdom is there. And relating to what I do now, because I got into personal development. I mean, even before I came across Bob Proctor, funny story. When I was first diagnosed with my autoimmune, I was looking back when the World Wide Web wasn't so good, but I was looking for answers. And I came across a video of Bob Proctor talking about paradigms. I was in my police head mode. I'm a very different person now. And I was like, what is he talking about? Paradigms? I don't have paradigms. I'm looking for issues about thyroid. So I thought 15 years later, I discovered what he was talking about and wished,
Okay.
oh my God, life would be different. So I
Yeah.
got into like buying personal development books and thinking that if I read them, my life would change. It didn't.
And okay.
And then I came across the Bob Proctor sort of side. Um, but yeah,
So yeah, it's good. And I have a mental trajectory of how I can help you craft an authority artifact because, I think it's fun and I play in this field. So I'm curious to know more about your offer right now, and I can make some suggestions about what may be good to consider for an authority artifact. So what is it that you offer now? I know, but I'd like to know more, and I think others would be curious as well.
yeah. So what I do now is there's a couple of things. One I've kept in the background, which like I've told you, I'm going to be building back into. But I help people gain the wisdom and golden nuggets from personal development books, cutting the fluff and getting straight to the point and actually getting you to implement them instead of putting them back on the shelf where they just gather the dust and we do nothing with the wisdom that we've read.
Yeah.
And what I want to do is, because I am a consultant for Proctor Gallagher, so trained by Bob Proctor, I want to um, create a container, a 4-week container introducing people into his methodology and his steps.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, yeah. Do you want to give a crack at your authority artifact? Or would you like me to offer some tips and insights and suggestions? Up to you.
There you go for it.
All right. Yeah. What really stood out to me is when you said, I realized I didn't have to be controlled by my outside world. I wrote that down like right away. That's when I grabbed my pen. That's the first thing I wrote down. So even though your offer is helping people to implement the wisdom from books in a way that is life-changing, what if that was tied to, hey, I can show you how you cannot be controlled by your outside world
Yeah,
in the books, and the accountability and implementation is the how.
yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
like,
It's just there's more of like, wow, I want that.
yeah. That was
I don't,
such
I
a big
mean,
wake up call. Yeah,
yeah, and it's true. It's there within you, right? It's your wake up call. So if it's your wake up call, it's someone else's wake up call.
yeah.
It's funny because this morning I have a group chat with some colleagues, Tanya and Eileen. I think you may have connected with them, working on some cool stuff. But it was 6 a.m. and I entered the group chat. And I just said hi. Just I was awake at 6 a.m. They're like, "Why are you awake? It's 6 a.m." My cheeky response at 6 a.m. was, "Well, I have to wake up so I can wake everyone else up." So Heather, you just said you were awake, right? You're awake. You realize that you didn't have to be controlled by the outside world. And your
Yeah,
way to understand that was through books and Bob Proctor. right? So you have a deeper emerging authority artifact that you can use that is authentic, that is vulnerable, that then leads to more authority, that then leads to more credibility, that also leads to a more authentic outcome that people want because you had it for yourself. So that said, if I were to just reflect and kind of riff a little bit, talking about your situation, like losing your job and the health issues, and just curious to know, did your health get better when you began to explore these different aspects of Bob Proctor's methodologies, which I think, as credible as Bob Proctor is, I would encourage you to embrace your own knowledge and methodology more than Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor is kind of like a supplementary side note, but it's really your experience that gives you the credibility. But again, through what you learned through the Bob Proctor methodologies and these books, did your health and life improve?
Yes and no.
Okay. Yeah.
You could say on the like the soul side of me, my spiritual side, then yes.
Yeah.
My awareness and understanding of how I got to be like I am, I know exactly why.
Yeah.
And it's not the outside world at all. Um, and my health went and turned in a different direction, and so I
Yeah.
got dished something else. So
Yeah.
it didn't physically improve health
Okay.
as such.
Yeah.
But as far as me, as to who I am, I grew enormously and my life did change quite a lot. I'm not saying that it changed as in like wealth and all that, but
Yeah.
I think for myself, for the person I am, and understanding my life and my journey, like 200%. It's
Yeah.
made that big impact. Yeah.
There you go. Right there. Right there. That's it right there. It might take some creative putting together, like playing it, but I think even just what you shared on this call, like you have a really powerful authority artifact, which is just then a story that you can tell your audience, to your potential clients, to influencing your offer. I do want to just conclude and wrap it up and just share a few insights and then go to the next one. I mean, I could do this a lot because I think it's just fun. Um, but that, I mean, it also validates what you said, that it's like you're not controlled by your external world. So your physical health is essentially your external world, right? Your inner world is how you feel about yourself. So it actually validates your story. So talking about that more, telling the story more, and then people may not even books, like whatever. I want to work with Heather because that sounds like an awesome outcome that she got for herself. How do I get it? Well, we're gonna go through the best books out there. You're gonna implement the best wisdom, but this is what I did for myself to change my inner state, even when my outer state wasn't so great. Would that be something you want to have a conversation about? Yeah, sign me up. I want to have a conversation about that. How you change your inner state when your conditions weren't so great through books and implementing wisdom. Like that's pretty powerful. Um, so I think I'll leave you with that, right? Embracing the story, right? You have the story, the situation. You have the shift that happened again through these books and through what you learn from Bob Proctor. Again, side note, not the main thing to focus on because we want you to be the center of your brand. Um, and then this outcome, this transformation that you really opened up to on this call. Yeah. And
Yeah.
any thoughts or insights before we move to the next person?
No, that's great. That's great because, like in the past, before sort of stepping into like this part of my journey, I was always, like doing the victimhood side of things. Why was me? And, nobody understands my health, and, they should understand this. And, you know, um, so I was always coming from that point. So you've really sort of highlighted something very, very different, which is great because that sounds like I don't know how many percent better. It's just
Glad. That makes me super
yeah, yeah.
happy. I mean, just a show of hands, how many people here know people or themselves who are sometimes not satisfied with their external world? Just like,
Yeah.
There you go. Cool. All right. Next. I am
Uh,
going. Yeah. Go ahead,
can I
James.
actually
Yeah.
just share a quick little 60 seconds. Just to
Yeah.
reset the container, and I have a little gold nugget I want to share with everyone too that'll supplement. Let's all take a deep breath in and out forcefully, clearing the space for the next person to step into. Nice, clean, clear, cleansed, for the story to arise organically. And just one of the things I wanted to share with you guys from the, hypnotist, hypnotherapist perspective, subconscious mind, and also the sales side of things. One of the things I really love about the vehicle of a story, because story trance hypnosis transports somebody. Okay, so as soon as you name something in the mental realm, as soon as you name something, black cat, in order for you to understand that word that I just said, black cat, you have to create an image in your mind. I'm transporting you to the image of a black cat. Now, as soon as you describe something with your words, you bring it to life. So naming it pops it into existence, describe it brings it to life. So the black cat walking slowly down the dark alleyway, crisp breeze, full moon, All Hallows Eve. Now, all of a sudden, where are you guys? Right? In order to understand it, you need to go there. So when we use the vehicle of story, what we're doing is we're saying, hey, come on in, ride shotgun with me. And you take them through the journey of your experience. And because it's not them, it's not their story, it's not their ego that's driving, the ego doesn't have any red flags, defense mechanisms, resistance. You're trying to tell me what to do. No, I'm showing you what happened over here, and now you can make your own assumptions. You can make your own conclusions. So when we tell our real, raw, authentic story, we take them through that journey, and then people know, like, and trust us better. But also, at the same time, in order to understand the story, they have to take on the mindset, they have to take on the belief systems, they have to take on the emotions of the main character in order to understand it. So it's a very, very effective vehicle. And also, Heather, I'm like, I want to go have a coffee with Heather now and learn more about her detective days. What? You're a detective? Huh? That's cool. That's unique. So, like, just that, boom, now we have a connection. And now that might turn into a relationship, you know? So, I just wanted to share that into the space. So with that, Justin, we'll kick it back over.
Yeah. 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 Um, I think we may not have time to get to everyone, but we'll do what we can. And always an invitation to connect more with me in the community or jump on a coffee chat with me if we haven't connected yet.
Book a call.
One
Book a call.
Yeah, cool. One thing I say, one of my isms, and I believe, again, isms are things that you say over and over again that are beneficial to your audience. One of mine is conversations about desired outcomes lead to sales. And I also said at the beginning of this call that sales doesn't necessarily mean something you're selling for money. It could mean an outcome or an action that you'd like someone to take. So even from Heather talking about her experience, James is like, I want to have a conversation with you, right? And conversations at any base level open the potential for client enrollment because, well, conversations about desired outcomes lead to sales, but before outcomes, you need a conversation. Right. So communities, conversations, what we're doing here is exactly what we're meant to do as business owners. And right, even in this small space, we're getting to know each other more, and we may be able to introduce people who would benefit each individual brand to have a coffee chat or a chat with someone, a coffee chat or convo with someone. Um, that said, James, do you remember who raised their hands before? It was Heather. I think it was Alan. I think there was another one.
Yeah, I think Alan, you wanna jump in? And who else? We'll try and get to you. If not, Justin literally jumps on
Yeah, yeah,
calls with people and networks, so we'll get you in
yeah,
there
yeah.
sometime. Alan, you wanna jump
Cool,
in?
Alan. Yeah, good to connect with you. I've been meaning to do a call with you. So now we have a little bit of a one-to-one time in a group setting now.
Yeah,
Yeah, how you
finally get to
doing?
talk. Doing all
Yeah,
right.
cool. Let's dive into it and make the most of our time. So tell me a little bit about yeah, what your let's do it a different way. Because with Heather, I knew a little bit about what she was offering, so we could kind of start at the beginning. For you, I kind of want to know a little bit about what you're offering first.
What I currently offer is packaged in two different ways. The first one is the Human Variable Project. It's a mathematical equation that I wrote so that when my head isn't working, I can still give myself an answer to not prevent myself from moving forward. And then the second one I call Rekindling the Flame Within. It's specific breathing exercises and kind of like somatic works, working with the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system to get that person back to having the flame within them. And then I do different exercises that get them to not be aggressive, but get them to have that, and then also ones that help them go to sleep, like both. So,
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I know a little bit more about your business, what you're offering. Just tell me a little bit about, again, similar to Heather, the framework. We're gonna talk about like what was that thing that happened where, things kind of sucked. Is that valley of despair, is that struggle? And then of course we get to the good stuff, which is the breakthrough and how your views and your perspective really shift. So yeah, go ahead, open space, whatever comes to mind.
yeah, so my start is just before the Valley of Despair. I wanted to be a soldier and do MMA training, and so I was heavily training consistently. But I wasn't thinking for myself at that point. I was allowing other people to dictate what was going on in my life because I just wanted to do my one thing. And then anytime somebody else wanted something, I was like, whatever, let's get it done with. Um, I ended up having an engine hoist hit me in the head and the shoulder, and my moronic body thought I could catch it. And I squatted with it most of the way down and then finally jumped out of the way. And that was like a half-ton object. Yeah. And I never recovered. I was forced basically to go right back to work. And then my health declined so much that I had to physically move out of my house. So I was closer to work. But because I was young and dumb, I started hanging out with my landlord there because I wanted to be a chef. And then I got in a wrestling match with him to earn, not to earn respect, it's just guys joshing. Got thrown on my head, second concussion within 4 months. And then he felt horrible. But then I gave it a bit to heal from that. And then I started doing my training again to get back on ball because since I didn't want to be told what to do in the military, I wanted to do my own thing. Then comes my third head injury within the year of six paintballs to the back of the head, which made it to the point where one day at work, a 4 hour shift literally felt like 16 to 20 hours. It was the worst day of my life. And so I had to quit my job, move back home. And then it got to the point where I could barely get out of bed for more than 3 hours a day. I was about to be homeless. God was on my side and made it where I was able to live in a house. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have got with my love, who I'm with now and have kids with. But before that, the valley of despair was my health got so bad. I genuinely was like, if this doesn't work, I have nothing left to do because it was that bad. And that was chiropractors. And so I went to the chiropractic and got an adjustment. And then I'm stoic up here, but my body just started going, oh! And so I'm like, what's wrong with me? And then he said how my body's nervous system is actually releasing, even though my brain's not on the same wavelength. And then over years and lots of money and barely being able to work and do anything and having my first child, losing the man who raised me just before my daughter was born, basically anything negative you could think of for the next couple of years I went through. And then I learned about identity shifts, which was the biggest change for me at that time because I realized the identity I had in my head was very negative because I was focusing on the resistance I was facing rather than the capacity I had. And then I started creating my human variable project around that time without naming it yet. And then I called it Lone Wolf Sanctuary for independent people like myself who had to get growth in the community, but had to do the strength and solitude without help. And then I wrote the equation because people and myself, I believe, could use it to not predict, but you could timestamp yourself, figure out where you are, and then be able to move forward with clarity and with other people. And then my son was born last year, and I finally started to think, hey, it's getting better from here. My health's doing better. I'm working. I just got off night shifts in August of last year. And I started with the Hormozy wave, started pushing forward with everything. And I realized I was trying to live a perfect life and I was perfecting everything from all of the things I've went through. And then I lost my dog, the one I had before my injury, and the one that held me stable through everything, and the one that I was able to always go back to. And that was a month ago. And it finally came to terms with what reality is. And I got to share what I have because I think, truthfully, with my head injury, I didn't think I was going to make it to 25. And here I am at 27, thankfully. And I genuinely, at this point, I'm not worried about the money. I just want to help because with how much shit I went through, I could never see somebody go through that. And every year of that 10 years, I lost either a family, friend, or a pet. And so every year was death on death with negativity. And it's nice to, after 10 years, to 8 years minimum, to finally sit in a group with a bunch of people and actually express it because that was the last variable I didn't want to do. Because when you go through all of that, your identity is such nihilistic, not 100%. Like I was very optimistic, but when the world just keeps hitting you down, it's hard to rewrite that software. And yeah, right after I lost my dog, I'm at this point. I've came to the point where people don't necessarily want to, not that people don't want more from life, they just want to have that fire they had that when they were a kid and that feeling of safety and longevity that came with it. And then only do they want to raise their capacity and do more with life. Because if you can't do the basics, I know that you're going to sit there in a cycle of hell until you can finally figure out how to get out of the cycle. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Deep
Yes, I
breath.
don't.
Yeah, yeah.
It took me a while to start telling it because all I hear is just passing grief. But it's my life. The good things are my significant other, my daughter, my son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you open up. Yeah, you're in a safe space. We have good people here. Again, honored to have invited such incredible space holders. When again, it's an open call, but aligned people attract aligned people, right? That's why we do what we do. So, what is then the shift that began to happen? You talked a little bit about it, but I'd like to hear more about that, right? Like the struggle, man, like I rarely feel like the physical, like when you're talking, I felt it in my body, man. Man, this is intense. So now that we've gone through the struggle, the valley, what was the climb out of the valley? What is this event or these things that happened that began to change your perspective, your views, your values, your beliefs that then shifted, changed your life for the better that you also want to share with others that can contributes to your methodology and your offer, but we'll start at like the second phase or area first.
um. So when I first started to step out, was almost like you're still in the bottom, but when you finally take that first step, I was like a long time ago, and that's when I came across Russell Brunson. Like once he started his ClickFunnels and everything, once everything was launched essentially. And it gave me hope that there was more, that even if I couldn't make it to a long age, at least I could live a good life. And then I got stuck in a cycle of trying to perfect things. The way I, sorry, could you ask that one more time? I like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, all good, all good. Yeah, yeah. What is let's talk about it in the hero's journey, right? Like you faced yourself, life threw stuff at you, like literally threw stuff at you. What what was the hero's ascent? Let's talk about the hero's ascent. The climb out of the valley. When things began to get better, and because you had these great shifts, these things that happened that just made life better. You're like, man, like other people should know this. Like other people should have these realizations and these insights. So yeah.
Every time, it was when I first came up with the idea of the human variable, which was a long, long, long time ago. But
Go ahead. Okay.
um, I don't know. It's not that there wasn't a positive. It's just with every positive, there was a negative. And so they always made reality more reality than here's the hopeful side of things. That's also where I'm, because that made me very statistical. It took me out of all these stories and it made it, this is what it is. So it's hard for me to, it's not that I don't have the answer. I'm just struggling to get on it. I
It's
think
all
it was
right. Yeah.
probably after my daughter was born. But then, even then, it was my physical health took such a toll that it took a while for me to even be able to understand that my physical health was driving my mental health into that way. Um, I think I finally realized it when I wanted to join the military during all my injuries and everything and all the information I have is I was watching people way better than me, way more successful than me, either start quitting, losing, actually dying from suicide or overdose. Um, and then somebody I grew up with and went to school with, I genuinely thought she would have gotten to politics, and she died in the European Ocean due to the helicopter crash. And I told myself when that was literally when I was at my like last year, I don't know if I could do this or not. I told myself, well, clearly I'm in this position for a reason because if I could have been in those shoes as well. And so I'm grateful to be where I am. And then I started seeing the positive side. And then really where I'm trying to get to is I came to terms with a lot of it is it's mostly internal. However you face the world is how you face the world. There are always cycles that you're gonna get out of that are trapping around you, kind of like chains. But it's how you maneuver within those chains that your life can be better. Because it's not we're all trapped in whatever it is. In this, we are on the golden pedestal we could have now. Yeah, I feel like I butchered the response to that, but I
It's
have
okay.
so
It's
much.
okay.
So
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. Sometimes processing the story or the authority artifact is just it's messy before it becomes smooth.
yeah, I've
It's
also
just
haven't been
like
able to express it much. It's more of that strength and solitude I've had. So I'm trying to get the growth in
yeah.
community right now.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Um it's artistry, right? It's just throwing paint at the wall. Sometimes you just got to express a lot, and then from that, there's an emerging story that comes through that you can then channel through. So, my reflection, and then I'll pass it back to James, and I want to check in with you about how you want to use the last several minutes of the space. Um, Man, the start of your story has a hook for sure. Like I'll give you that for sure. Like anyone who hears that story is like, man, this is someone who's opening up to me. I can relate to this guy. Right? Because everyone has problems, but you've really had some things in your life, right? So there's already an invitation for people to have conversations with you. So then to get more clear on the shifts that you have that you want to share with others, I think that's the next step for you to really reflect on, to contemplate, to write about, to speak about with your partner. Because that shift, the more you can make it more tangible and talk about it, and even in this conversation, you haven't really expressed it before. So it's not as clear. So an invitation to express that in whatever way makes the most sense for you moving forward. Again, writing about it, talking about it with a partner, a trusted friend or colleague or ally, knowing that we're really trying to essentially erect your authority artifact. And like I mentioned, that resource is in my classroom, in the
Mm.
Skillshare section. So you could go through that at your own leisure. And there's also an AI prompt that you can use that will help you extract, I like the word, we're helping you extract here also. But we're out of time, so I don't think we have much more extraction time. But you can essentially extract your authority artifact by going through that Skillshare and also by taking advantage of that prompt. Yeah, because that's the main thing, like the shift, the values, the perspective that changed, and then how does that then flow into your offer, your brand? And as you were speaking, I sensed some similarities to what Heather was saying, right? There's like the internal state, right? And there's the external conditions. We often think that our internal state, satisfaction, happiness, self-worth is related to the external state. So I'm sensing there may be some of that emerging just from like the congruency in
It
the
is a mix.
stories.
It's 100%. Yeah, because it's
Okay, cool.
actually, I
Yeah.
have an equation, which is seven variables, and that one describes R squared. R squared stands for internal and external resistance.
Yeah.
Once you hit external resistance, you are bound to have internal resistance. But if you can clear the way through adaptation and recognizing who you are and being true to yourself, you can move through without much of an internal resistance because then you're not going, oh, what if I can't do this? Because it's about being genuine and yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just this is why I'm a little confused because I literally have a math equation on this, and that's where I've been struggling. And so I ended up going back to rekindling the flame within because when I lost my dog, I realized it's really about trying to be happy in the moment. And if you could be a stable beacon for others, at least they can see the way, and
Yeah.
you're a constant for them. So if they can't see their constant, they can see you, and they'll use you as a source of hope. Yeah.
Wow, that's really good. I
For
believe
the
that yeah, that's like the last part of the authority
yeah,
artifact. There's a little bit missing in the middle, but that last part, really
yeah,
good.
it's because I have
Yeah.
it in three forms. So Lone Wolf Sanctuary is the narrative form of my equation. My equation is statistical and cold. It has the four pillars of success, seven resistance
Yeah.
cycles. But then I went to the point where I realized nobody gives a crap about all of that. They just want the ability to be present, happy,
There
whole,
you
and
go.
adapt to the current
There you
circumstance.
go. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Simple. Yeah, simple language, front-facing language that your audience is familiar with and they want to have that conversation with you.
Yeah, because I
Cool.
try to do the other one as too many subjects. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I talk about it a lot. Like experts, they get lost in the depth of their methodology and they play in that sandbox, but not everyone is ready to play in the depth of that sand as they are. Like they're knee deep in the sand. Others in it, like once you invite them into this, it's just essentially marketing, right? It's just like it's accessible, it's attractive. And then once they know the depth of who you are, what you can offer them, then you can bring them deeper and you can really get deep in the sand. But initially, it's just simple language, front facing, desirable, and also desirable outcomes from your own authentic story, which is what we're talking about here. So I know we didn't have time to get to everyone. I'm kind of disappointed because I was looking forward to doing this with even more people. But um, as I've reflected in this session, it takes a little bit more time than I thought. Like James, like 10, 15 minutes. Like, yeah, okay. Well, now I know excavation may take a little bit more time. That said, I'll pass it back to you, James.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Alan, for sharing your story, brother. I really appreciate you. And I just invite everyone just take one little clearing breath, deep breath in, blowing out to clear the space. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So wow, holy cow, you guys. And if I could just reflect back, Alan, what really stood out to me is, the story of David Goggins really stands out. It's just like my life was hell. And because of that, I've been beaten down so many times and thrown into the fire so many times and hit repeatedly over and over and over. Now I am a sharp steel katana and I can cut through anything. Cut through the public opinion, cut through my own limitations, cut through all of it. Katana, sword of truth. So what I see is like a potential um, metaphor for you, man, is the lantern in the dark, because there's a lot of people right now who are going through darkness and they are giving up and they don't have the fortitude like you do. They aren't the warriors like you do. So those people need an umbrella and a boat. So I just want to leave that with everyone. The people that you're meant to help are struggling. They're floating in an ocean of emotion and they're drowning, and you have the life preserver or you have the dinghy, or me, if you're me and Justin. Oh, my mentor just left. But if you're me and Justin, you know what I mean? You guys have a relationship. Okay. Now, the more skilled you are at steering your relationship through the ocean of emotion, the more people are going to feel safe and trusting jumping on the boat. And all your job is say, hey, you need some help? Yeah, I'm drowning. Ah, let's jump on a call. I got you. And what you're doing is you're giving those little inflatable arm things that you put on kids. Hey man, just just breathe for just take a rest, man. Just relax for a second. And if you can do that for someone who's drowning and has been drowning for 10 years, like Heather, like where's the information? It's not, I don't know. I'm drowning. Ah, help. I can't even work. You, same, we're starting to see a collective pattern. And what's happening is you guys are now on me and Justin's boats. Come on, we got you, no worries. And then I'm in a bigger boat. I'm being held by lots of beautiful, amazing people. And now we're all kind of building the rafts together. So I just want you guys to like think about that for a second. Help someone behind you and reach up for support from someone who's not above you, just a little bit more resource, a little bit more helpful in that moment. So I just wanted to kind of leave it on that. Let's take one more deep breath in and out. And just a quick little piece. Alan, I definitely want to connect you with Zot, who was what he's been in he runs men's wisdom work. He's been doing it for about 15 years. And I really want to connect you in with him. I'm sad that he bounced, but he has a family and children as well. And also, Justin, I want to connect you with Zot as well, because marketing for the new landscape of school, I think would be very beneficial. And I think that's what I want to leave everyone with, which is we showed up for a workshop. I hope you guys got a ton of value. I know I did. I always leave with my little notepads with Justin. But more importantly than the information, holy shit, we just held some really powerful space for two beautiful, amazing souls for some beautiful journeys. And I felt the depth of it. You know, I feel stuff in my body. You got Justin to be like, dude, I felt it. So that story that you have, it's not a polished gemstone yet, but it's potent. It's gold. I want you guys all have gold mine, and we're just got to pull out the ore, and it's mixed in with sadness, anger and shame and guilt and fear, and it's dirt, you know? But through the process of showing up, through the process of connecting with people like Justin, people who can help refine, go through the refinery. I have the crucible where I melt it down, and and then Justin hammers it into shape, the nice little mold, you know? When you guys go through that refinement process, then on the other side, you have something to really, really offer. Okay. So that's what I wanted to leave on. Justin, do you have anything else you want to share into the space? Oh yeah, you want to do some
Uh,
30-second shares to close out?
yeah, yeah,
Biggest
yeah, yeah,
nugget?
yeah. I do like to have just an opportunity for people in the space to contribute or have some last shares in the space before wrapping up. And if you got to
Perfect.
jump off, it's okay because I understand you got an hour and a half scheduled. But
I'm here for
yeah.
another. Let's do a party, man. After party. No, I'm just kidding. Now let's keep it tight. 30-second shares. Let's go round robin. Whoever wants to jump in, go ahead, and then we'll close the space. Great
Yeah,
job
it's
today,
whatever you want to
Justin.
share. Insights, takeaways, just like something you received, something you'll continue to think about, contemplate. Is just if you like to share, you're more than welcome to.
I quickly want to say that I realize a part of a story that people are keep telling me that I need to bring it out, and I'm trying to hide it. It's my balloon story, making balloon story. So it's something that I need to look at and see what's there, because that can fit into this idea of artifact authority, artifact, uh, because that so doing balloons was a big transformation in a stage of my life, and I'm at this point where I'm ready to hang that up and move on to the next stage. I don't know. Uh, so it's you explaining the authority artifact idea, and then listening to Heather and Alan. It's just yeah. So I just wanted to share that, and thank you, James, for this invitation, Justin. Uh,
Yeah.
I I appreciate it. It's
Thank you, Uck. We appreciate you.
Mm.
And I just drew a card. I don't know what it means, but it looks like a big balloon and the
It
rainbow in the
does.
sky. It sounds like, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but thank you for sharing and thank you for coming. Anyone else want to jump in really quick? Concise?
I'm going to go and listen to Justin's Skillshare on this, on
Yeah.
the artifacts for sure. I don't know what my internet, as soon as I moved, my internet went out. So I will come back and listen to Alan's story and that piece of it. So thank you. Thank you both for hosting this. And it's always, my lots of notes. So
Yeah.
thanks.
Thank you for showing up. Anyone else?
I just want to say thanks very much, guys, for this. It is actually amazing that I can get on a live call with some of these people with wisdom just because I'm in New Zealand and it just
Yeah.
doesn't work out. But yeah, it's great to have a very different perspective on, a journey that like I and Alan have had to, just flip it round and pick out those sort of key words, those bits of wisdom, Justin, that you did, and see that gift that we actually have got. And we are not picking up, as James said before, from the words that we're actually speaking. Because we've told our stories several times, but we've not picked up on that. And people might listen to our story and go, "Oh, holy smoke, that's absolutely awful. That's terrible." But we're not actually seeing in there the lesson that we can help teach others. We think we are, but we're really, really not seeing it in that depth. So thank you.
Big difference between processing a story and hitting the points on the shape of the story that gets people to where they need to be. Very big difference. Yeah. But in order to get to the milestones, you need to process. Very good. Shannon, do you have anything you want to share into the space before we close up?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Heather and Alan for being just so vulnerable and brave with their shares. And it also gave me a lot to think about, like with my own story I could use. So just thank you everyone for like a very powerful call tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know we were gonna that was really good. And I Heather, we're definitely connecting. We're gonna connect. I wanna hear more from you. Rashid, we gotta get on the call. Let's all take a long
It
swift
was
and belly
Alan.
breath.
Alan. Yeah.
And Alan. Oh yeah, but
Alan
me and
was gonna
Rashid gotta. I talked to Alan earlier.
No,
Me and Alan are boys.
Alan was gonna share. Alan was gonna share
Share what?
something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you might not realize how important of a space this is because for people to express is literally the hardest thing for them to do because that's what comes against resistance. This is where we shine the most statistically, like mathematically. And so to allow people to be in a space like this, like I won't be afraid to ask, but I wouldn't doubt if everybody here didn't feel like this was a lesson at all. This was just a hangout where two people, three people, four people got to truly express themselves without having any form of resistance. And so our capacity could be at our fullest without stressing or internalizing. I just wanted to say I'm grateful for the space and thank you for allowing me to externalize my story because I just realized how little I still shared, but how much there is to learn and be positive and lesson wise. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Yep, and just having that heart space held while the brain download comes in and Justin teaches us the beauty. It feels like we're just hanging out and having fun. That's the energy, and that's cross pollination at its best. So, with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. This was such an amazing experience for me. The replay will be up in Justin's spot, Justin's community. We're gonna house it over there if you want to check it out, and definitely check out Justin's authority artifact actual like step by step lesson, because he gave you like the hot seat coach, but it sounds like he has a step by step process and journaling. And if you want to connect with him on a call to network, he helps.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
met lots of really cool people just by Justin knowing who I am, and it's a
Yeah, and
very
vice versa.
beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
So
reciprocity, mutualism, law of compensation. But I mean, I really do believe this, and I say it, and you can use this if you want to share this with your audience as well. And I have colleagues who have begun to say this with their audiences. I say, I'm here to help. I'll help you a little bit or help you a lot, right? There's a free community. I'm launching a membership. There's a 4-week intensive coming up, and the outcome of my brand, which again, conversations about desired outcomes lead to sales. So the more you reinforce that with your audience, the more conversations you could potentially have is, hey, attract and enroll clients your way. Because if you have purpose, if you have story, if you have gifts, abilities, you deserve to help the people you're meant to help because good people deserve good money, which means you got to do the thing, right? You got to do the marketing, the sales. So always open to conversation and finding out what kind of help is best for you. Again, that may even mean some free resources in the community, or that may mean something beyond that. So message me anytime. That said, I'll pass it back to you, James, to do the final closeout.
that's it. thank you guys for showing up. We love you. And if you ever want to be on my podcast, let me know. Open up spots. And if you need any help with heart-centered sales, also let me know. And with that being said, I'm sending you guys lots of love and hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace.
Yeah, later.